Hey there, friend. Welcome to the Real Mom Manual podcast. This show is for moms who love their full lives, but are carrying a lot and are done with that unnecessary chaos, making it harder than it already is. I'm Michelle, mom of 3, including 1 with Down syndrome. And around here, we focus on systems, rhythms, and special needs support. Not perfect, not effortless, just making life simpler to manage. Less friction, that is the goal. Welcome back to the show. Today we're talking about something that sneaks into our homes quietly and makes everyday life just a little bit heavier without us really even realizing it. I call it the Target trap. And I want to be really clear, it's not a Target is bad episode. It's way deeper than one of my favorite stores. I love Target. I love a clean aisle. I love drive-up orders. I use it very frequently. I window shop the seasonal section on purpose because I love the seasonal products they offer, because I've learned that sometimes just looking scratches the itch just as much as buying, and sometimes more. So this isn't about shaming shopping or pretending we don't live in the actual real world. This episode is about understanding the why just one more thing feels so comforting in the moment, and why it so often turns into just more stress later. The problem usually isn't what you buy, it's what happens after it comes home. Most moms I know are not buying recklessly. They're buying responsibly, thoughtfully, with good intentions. We stock up, we grab backups, we buy ahead, just in case. And the reason makes sense. Future you feels, maybe I'll put it like, just a little bit fragile. Present you wants to protect future you. So there's this quiet belief running in the background that says, if I handle this now, I won't have to deal with it later. That future you will be okay because present you planned ahead. And for a moment, it works, right? You feel capable, productive, relieved, like you checked something off before it became a problem. But then that item becomes one more thing to store, manage, clean, rotate, remember, or eventually decide what to do with. That's where the weight just builds. Here's the part I want to slow down on, because it really does matter. Clutter is not heavy because of what it is. It's heavy because of what it demands. Every item you bring into your house needs a place. It doesn't have one, it becomes visual noise. Another open tab in your brain. Another reminder that something is unfinished. That is why a house can look mostly tidy and still feel chaotic and stressful. It's not about mess. It's about unresolved decisions. Your brain is constantly scanning for things that don't belong. They don't have a home or haven't been dealt with yet. So when you're already managing kids, emotions, schedules, appointments, and running an internal checklist, that background stress adds up very fast. There is literal science behind this. Visual clutter raises cortisol, which is the stress hormone, especially in women. And our brains interpret visual chaos as a signal that things are never, ever done, never settled, and you are not safe to fully rest. So even when you sit down, your nervous system and internals just don't. They do not rest. That's why clutter doesn't just live in your house, it lives in your head. And that's where decision fatigue really comes in. So by the time you're shopping, whether you're in a store or online, you're already tapped out. You have made hundreds of micro decisions that day. What everyone's eating, who needs socks, what's due tomorrow, what you forgot, what you still need to do. So when you're standing in an aisle and hovering over add to cart, your brain is not evaluating long-term impact. It is trying to just shut down and end the decision. Buying something feels like resolution, like relief, like control. This is not weak willpower at all. This is tired brain interacting with very intentional design. So before kids, this was literally my field. I studied visual merchandising and product development at the Fashion Institute of Technology. That is where I wanted to go since I was a very young kid studying fashion design. So I studied visual merchandising and product development when I got there. I learned how lighting, layout, signage, and flow increase how people move around stores and actually buy. After graduation, I moved from the actual retail in-store side to the digital side in e-commerce. And I spent over a decade optimizing product pages, product placement, and designing user experience. So here is the thing. None of this is accidental at all. End caps, seasonal placement, the dollar spot, the people also bought on a website. It's all designed to feel low pressure, comforting, and therefore rewarding. And now you do not even have to walk inside. Drive up orders, one-click checkout, buy online, pick up in store. When BOPIS, which is the silliest phrase to me, but buy online, pick up in store turns into BOPIS, started becoming popular towards the end of my kind of e-commerce career here, it felt revolutionary. It was a huge deal. Now it is just how it is. Less friction sounds like the solution until you realize that friction wasn't actually even the problem in the first place. Let's talk about a different aspect right now. Scarcity. A lot of us lived through that 2020 toilet paper situation. And even if you did not panic buy, your nervous system remembers the moment of like, oh my gosh, what if there is not enough toilet paper? What am I going to do? How am I going to wipe? So now we buy extras, backups, just in case supplies. And again, that logic, it makes sense. But here is the reframe that changed everything for me. You can trust yourself to figure it out. You don't need to future-proof every scenario. You don't need to carry every contingency plan in your house. You don't need to prepare for every possible disruption because you are capable and you have always been capable. I am definitely somebody who likes to prepare for the worst sometimes in certain aspects, but I have learned to be smart about it and that I can trust myself and I don't need to actually stockpile toilet paper. Having some extras is plenty. So this brings me to my own turning point. After my first was born, our house was not just messy, we'll say. It was overwhelming. And that is, I'm sure, where you might be or you might have been. Deep clean, needed, but more than that, messy. The kind where if someone said they were 20 minutes away, I would literally tell them I wasn't home because I needed hours to clean, put stuff away, make it look slightly improved. And that was going to be shove piles of stuff in closets improved, not I'm going to get rid of it and it's going to look actually cleaned up and be gone improved. 2 months postpartum, I was in such severe abdominal pain all of a sudden. I could feel like something was very wrong. And I remember thinking as a new mom who really had no clue what was, going on with her body after birth, did my organs like go back in the wrong place? This is horrific. It was almost worse than giving birth at that time. And after a couple of days and I was eating and that was making it worse, I said to my husband, I'm pretty sure that I either need to go to urgent care or the ER. So we need to figure something out. We don't have family. At that time, we did not have any family close by. So a friend and neighbor came over. She has 3 grown adult children. So she watched our newborn for the time that my husband took me to the ER, which we found out I needed to have my gallbladder removed, which we've then found out later that apparently it's very common with women postpartum, and it can be triggered by rapid weight loss after having a baby, which again, then was a blessing and a curse, right? So I was hospitalized for multiple days. We had a 2-month-old at home. I was trying to breastfeed and then I pumped a little bit. I was unable to give my husband any bags of milk from the hospital because they had me on medication. I had 2 bags of milk in the fridge and I had no plan at all. My husband had to figure out formula on the fly, and he did. He was great. He worked, so he just took care of everything. And that was just, I love him for doing that in our lives anyway. But that was like oh man, new dad, nothing to feed the baby. My wife's in the hospital. What am I going to do? And he just did it. He just did what he had to do. He's incredible. What stayed with me though, after all of this experience, was the embarrassment, honestly. The feeling that my life was barely holding together, even while I was doing everything right as a new mom, but also in that postpartum fog. And that was the moment that I really realized it cannot be this hard. The day-to-day feels so heavy, and it can't be how hard it is right now. Although the baby aspect is just a whole different piece of it. The general day-to-day can't be this difficult. So I started researching, like, how do I make this better? So I found out about simplifying and not organizing here. We're not talking about organizing. We're talking about simplifying, letting go, reducing the excess, creating systems that assume real life will interrupt them, not if they will be interrupted, when it's happening. And figuring this out has taken me multiple years. It did not happen overnight. And it took about 6 months after I kind of started on this learning journey around the holidays after the gallbladder surgery that I would go through our house room by room, drawer by drawer, and do purges during nap time. I would get rid of stuff. I would move things around. This was my period of ruthless decluttering. Like, make a choice, get it out. And then, because of life, of course, I got pregnant again with our second. Something, though, at that time had shifted. I started to feel it. Life felt lighter. It was starting to be easier to manage the day-to-day struggles, which, again, it's not a struggle, but it is when you feel like you are just drowning. It felt less fragile, I guess I could say. So when my son was born, and 6 months later, when we received his Down syndrome diagnosis, those systems that I had built and started to really refine carried us through. Our home could run when I just couldn't. And that's why I don't manage clutter by organizing anymore. It doesn't work. I manage it by deciding better before anything enters my house. Because if it's not in my house, it's not my clutter to begin with. So this is where my 4 Qs come in. And if you know me at all, or you have listened before, you know alliteration is my jam. I get excited when I hear the same letter because it helps me remember stuff, because I can't remember anything anymore. So I want to explain my 4 Qs and not just list them. But first, I'll tell you what they are. Quality, quantity, question, quick. So when I am about to buy something, I pause. First, quality. Is this something I will actually use long term? Not trendy, not cute, solid. 1 good version beats 5 mediocre ones that create more clutter later. Second, quantity. Do I already own something that solves this problem? And if I do I really need another thing? Bulk buying makes sense for paper towels. It rarely makes sense for 12 throw blankets, right? Thankfully, they usually only sell them in like a package of 1 or maybe 2 or 3. Third, question. This is the pause button. Could I wait a week and still want it? Could I borrow it if I delay it, even 24 hours? Half the time, I will forget about it entirely. It will not even cross my mind again. Fourth is quick. Decide and move on. Spiraling over choices just drains you. I know I have been in it, and I know I called analysis paralysis, literally. Sometimes the best decision is a fast no, so that you can protect your energy for something that actually matters. So these questions that I always try to ask before I make a purchase, stop clutter before it starts. And once you practice them with stuff, they they spill into your time, your commitments, and even your calendar. So one important caveat, as I just kind of talked about, if you're postpartum, you're navigating a new diagnosis, or you're barely keeping life running, this is not overhaul season. Maintenance seasons are not for transformation. They are for containment. So stop the incoming clutter. That's enough. Reducing the friction is enough. It's not giving up. It's strategy for the long term. So let's talk about real life right now, because our playroom that I said before is a total wreck, is slowly improving. We've added a desk that's actually getting used. My husband moved some of his 3D printing supplies to our office, which did help. But our laundry room is a total chaos machine right now. It became a holding zone, which it usually is because it's near our garage. So it's like, oh, on the way out. And honestly, it got to the point of embarrassing. I shut the door. We had a couple of people come recently that we didn't know as well. And I'm like, I don't even want them to see in there. And it reminded me of what I went through so many years ago after the gallbladder surgery. So what finally pushed me was something small. A dinner bell I bought on Black Friday. It sat on our counter for months, in the way, driving me absolutely nuts. And that was my signal. I rearranged shelves. I moved decor, which pushed stuff into the laundry room, which made it worse before it got better, which is usually the case. And when I started tagging things to resell the other night, I just stopped. And I said, I realized I just don't have the capacity for this right now. I'd much rather just box it up and put it in the donation pile. Sometimes the value of your piece is higher than whatever you would make selling it. Even if you have a low threshold or a higher threshold for, I might make $100 on this. It really depends on your mindset. However, it's okay to just stick it in the donation bin. If there's one thing that I really want you to take from this episode, it's this. You're not messy. You're managing more than most people see, as most moms are, especially my fellow moms of kids with special needs. You're just managing more than most people see. And a lot of people aren't going to understand. Carry less without lowering the bar. You don't have to lower the bar. When you choose peace over piles and you trust yourself, you will figure things out as they come with more confidence and more peace. Talk to you next time. Thanks so much for listening to the Real Mom Manual podcast. If something in this episode made you think that would actually help, share it with another mom who might need it. And if you want to help more moms find the show, taking 30 seconds to leave a review genuinely makes a difference. Until next time, keep it real, keep it simple, and I'll talk to you soon.